Well, hello again. It's been a little bit. I have a interest. Uh, I've been watching Luke Winters in his recent World Cup race. He got second place uh, on his first run. It was awesome. Second one was super crazy, and but he still got points, so super grats. But I've been looking at the hip and the most common ski to snow interaction of the inside ski. And I compared it to Pinnerot's runs. Pinnerot has the same occurrence, but not nearly as often. He's super strong and much more efficient and balanced. You can see that Luke's fist hits the snow a lot. Pinnerot's able to keep uh, his fist off the snow, doesn't need to lay it over as far. Partly because I think what he has the ability to do, and this is what I believe that I could use in my skiing too, is that the finish phase of the turn, we come out of the finish phase of the turn, and the pressures change to this leg, and when those pressures change, Luke is super masterful at riding that ski. He's probably a little too far inside on it, but what the muscle intelligence uh, so many of us needs to grow is how do you get as soon as you start firing off this inside leg to take over as the new base of support. What muscles have to contract to advance this old outside leg. It's coming around, and when we engage this, it finishes the turn. Our legs get sent up to the other side. But what has to happen is as they go out to the other side, this new inside has to advance way forward to the inside quickly because this is a very fast stage of the turn. It's not shared equally with all the other stuff. It's bam, this thing gets hit and boom. So how do we get that action to happen rather than pressing this and going over, leaning way to the inside while the ski goes out? That leaves his hip behind. That's what it looks like in so many of the stills. Okay, so it's just a matter of taking that intelligence, like every skier, Lou, Innerall, me, recreational skiers, is taking your own experience, your own intelligence, your own visualization of how you are in the turn, your cognitive database of what you know about it all. You have great coaches, especially at that World Cup level, and what you feel when you pressure this and you're going and advancing that inside hip. What do you feel? And not so much on the snow. What I want to lead you to is what do you feel in your muscles, in your trunk? Okay. So if we break it down into blocks, and this is a great book to read. I was given a week or so ago by one of my clients. It's called The Talent Code. You really, really should read it if you want to break down and find an understanding of the motor skill involved in advancing this outside ilium. Okay, this one's in the lead, advancing this outside ilium as soon as firing the muscles, as soon as you start to pressure and send this outside ski to the outside. So not just your body's diving over, your trunk to the inside, but the whole entire stacked body parts, the stacked outside parts move forward, and it has to come. I'm believing there's so much in the pelvis that needs this intelligence, that needs to learn, to be programmed to advance. Okay, so if you take and you start working and flexing and gripping this, working and flexing and gripping, and study it with your own database, with your own data bank of knowledge. You know the forces and the speeds going on. I don't know those. But I can feel, and I know you can feel, what it takes when you start gripping this from its 10% guidance of your body through the turn, 0 to 10 or 20, whether it's out here, when you start pressuring and skiing that ski across, and go through it really slow, what's happening to this other side? Feel the muscles needed to advance that to the inside. Okay, so that's all I do. Is break down this into blocks. It's just like in the book, The Talent Code. You really, really should read it. I stumbled on it. It's just a nutty little practice I've had at home, is to break down these movements. So another one that I do, that I just stumbled on, is in stretching. I got thinking, well, how would that make sense? Stretching, and I was just sitting in a stretch like this, and I tried to imagine what the story is. The story is advancing on a flexed hip. Okay, so where our leg is really, really short on the inside of the turn, and when it starts taking over pressures and becoming the new base of support, the advancement of this pelvis has to happen very low. In my level, recreational skiing, we get to come up and advance it that way. But we have to, I see the opportunity, even at this World Cup level, is advancing it here while this leg is bent. So we have to break that block down and create a practice, a mindful practice. A deep practice is what they refer to in the Talent Code book, that meditates on that process, visualizing how that works. So in just this simple stretch, I'm thinking, okay, I have a flexed hip. This could be the inside leg. And this hip in this stretch, as I pressure this foot, I'm gonna grip and pull. So I'm pushing down with this foot, and I can feel I'm trying to rotate this ilium. The pelvis is a big, or the whole, pelvis, the whole hip structure has an ilium on both sides. They're really noticeable. It's a big old bone. They have to track. It has to become the new lead. It has to be in there on the inside at some point. So, but it comes from out here because we're in a position of skiing like so, this ilium's up. But when we create pressure on this helium has to advance, and it needs something to pull against, a base of support. And we transfer that base of support through a pressure transfer to this inside. Okay, it's going to be managed at your own intensities, your own rate and timing for what you're focusing on. Very quick for a World Cup level. Open parallel skiing, a little more gradual. We have more time at a recreational level. Okay, so this stretch, I'm taking this stretch, and what I'm doing is I'm pressing down here and I'm gripping these muscles in here that tie in there, the abdominal obliques, everything that takes and advances. Okay, so there's lots of ways to do this. You could be pulling back on your foot and trying to advance, and that's your study, that's your deep practice, is what from your knowledge of skiing. This is more the higher level. From my level, I'm going to say I want to be pressing into the mat and pulling back a little bit, because that's what I feel I do in skiing. I feel like I'm gripping this hamstring and keeping that foot underneath me. Okay, that helps that alignment as this side moves to the inside to be balanced over the arch of the foot. Okay, so I'm gripping, I'm pushing into the mat, I'm gripping my hamstrings, and I'm keeping this leg rotated out, and then I'm drawing. And you can see that my shoulder is moving with my pelvis. So this advances my new inside early on. Okay, so how do I create a timing of these firing in time? That's the intelligence that has to be discovered in and for your level of skiing. The World Cup guys, you're going to have a different visual process. You have a different cognitive, different database of knowledge. So use that, break this down into blocks, and meditate on this at a very, very detailed level. Take it into blocks. This is one block that just came to mind. I'm going to take this exercise and try to copy it on snow. When my inside leg is really bent, I may ski moguls or something that gets me in a real bent state. My legs, where I'm absorbing and then transferring. I would like to do it at something really slow, a skier squat, and see if I could advance in a very slow, easy terrain, green terrain, in a very squatted stance. I'm going to try that and see if I can fire these things exactly in time and study what works for me. Do I need to press more, pull more? And that stuff you'll all solve as you go into a deep practice, just like this book, The Talent Code, teaches. It's a brilliant book if you really want to get masterful at anything, from sports to whatever you're into. Anyhow, okay, so try that. I know that wasn't a very exercisable thing. You need to stay with these exercises and grip and grip. Follow along what I did, but take and do some more of this so you actually feel your muscles grip. So you actually feel you pull and draw, pull and draw, pull. And hold it until it cramps. Hold it until it cramps. Cramps. Okay, so we're advancing the old outside leg to become the new inside, while this inside leg is flexed. And it's just at the finish phase of the turn before we go into extension with this all in line and over that inside ski. So the visual cue that showed up is when the skier or the racer completes the finish phase of the turn, he comes through and dives over the inside, and the tip of the ski, outside ski, is in the air. Okay? And so by advancing the hip the proper time in diving inside, that ski should indicate levelness to the snow. A lot of times it does. Most of the time it did for Pinero. And much less than most of the time it did for Luke Winters. I'm super hopeful he'll get to see this someday and take a slightly different approach to motor skills development. At that higher level, it's going to have to come from within. within the Luke Winters. He's got to take this and study deeply and reprogram the timing of that circuitry. When the leg is bent deeply, of moving to that inside, but drawing and firing to keep that ski level as an indicator. Everything in balance. I don't know. That's what I do. It'll help me. I know it will, and I'm certain it'll help you. So practice that stuff a little longer. I didn't really get a chance to really lead you through gripping. But send some comments. Maybe I'll do another one. All right. Peace to you.